welcome to In Focus. I'm your host, Yesenia Taveras. The woman we are about to meet loves to serve, empower, and uplift women everywhere she goes. Inspiring women and empowering women to their more is her legacy. Michelle Washington is the founder and CEO of Women of More LLC, an organization that hosts events, workshops, and conferences that leads women to their more. As the editor-in-chief of Women of More magazine, she highlights women who are industry leaders, game changers, community leaders, business owners, and difference makers. The magazine has been featured in more than, it's not 80 countries now, it's 87.
100.
100. In more than 100 countries and has over
400,000.
Look at that, numbers have increased. Over 400,000 impressions and is supported by award-winning journalists, business executives, and mover and shakers who understand their more. Michelle joins us now to share details about the story behind the manifestation of Women of More. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. You know, I thought I was like the game changer in introducing people, but I think you did very well. So thank you.
Yes, I want to make sure I got the right numbers in there because I know you've grown over the years.
Listen, you did it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it's such inspiration to have you on the show. I've seen you being the mover and shaker in our community. A lot of women resonate with your story, your journey, just your empowerment and uplifting us. I mean, especially in the days and times that we live in today, where the opposite of positivity is so prevalent.
Yeah.
In our community, in our country. So to have you to come in and be that beacon of light and empowerment, I think is very refreshing.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
That should have happened a long time ago, to be honest with you, because we always see each other in passing.
Definitely.
But it's good to just be here in your house.
Yes, yes. Our house, as we like to say here at Channel 22. So talk to us a little bit about like who you are as a person. I know you very well. I've grown to know you, but for those who don't know anything about you, talk to us a little bit.
Well, I deem myself as the advocate, the ambassador, the person that's going to change the whole dynamics in regards to how we see ourselves as women. Besides that, because I don't lead from my responsibilities and titles, because I believe that I'm more than a mother, I'm more than a grandmother, and those things that I'm responsible for. But I am a mother of two girls, 26 and 20. I have a granddaughter that's 5.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. I love them so much. And what I do is for them as well. I'm 46 years old. I have discovered my rhythm in life. And I discovered it actually when I was 9 years old. But I'm here, it's now manifesting, and I'm moving towards, you know, what I was assigned to do in life.
Yes, take us back to that journey. So one thing, oh, is this your granddaughter here? This is beautiful. Yes. And this is like part of the whole parenting as well as why or why in life and what we do and how we do it. But talk to us a little bit about the journey from being born in Philadelphia, coming to Delaware. Like one thing I love about Delaware, I feel like is a melting pot. There's so many of us here from different states throughout the country. And we're all contributing to our community in a positive way. So talk to us about your journey from leaving Philadelphia, coming to Delaware, and if there were any differences or things that happened in your life that kind of helped you to become the person you are today.
Absolutely. There was a difference between Philly and Delaware. It was like I didn't even know what was Delaware when I, initially came, and the whole gamut. I thought it was somewhere in the country or somewhere that didn't have, it's different from Philly.
Yes.
But living in Philly, I learned how to love and how to be quick on my feet, how to survive. And the reason why I said love is because growing up, my grandmother lived with us. My father's mother lived with us, and I was the baby of 2 at the time, 3. And I was always around her. She took me everywhere she went, grocery shopping, doctor's appointments, and just visiting. And I learned how to love from her. And I didn't understand that until I got older, that she was actually painting a picture for me that I will live out for her. Now, she passed many years ago, but her rhythm and what she taught me how to do, I still do today. Now, I don't think I told you this, but I'm a pastor's kid as well. So growing up as a pastor kid in Philadelphia was challenging at times because there was things we couldn't do, a lot of things we couldn't do. So I felt like I missed out a lot growing up as a kid. But then when we came to Delaware, going to a public school, because I was in a Christian school in Philly, going to a public school, it was like, what type of world is this? Because I wasn't used to the movement from classes to class, the different cultures, just everything. I was just like foreign to this new community, but it changed my life. It changed my life so much for the better. It added layers that I know I wouldn't have developed if I didn't go to the school in Delaware, which was Claymont. Claymont closed down, and then I graduated from Mount Pleasant.
Yes, and diversity is so important because you get to learn about other people's culture, the way of living, the way they see things.
Yeah.
And having been exposed to that at such a young age, leaving Philly to Delaware is a benefit, an asset to your life.
Absolutely, especially now.
Yeah, so let's talk about the now. So take us a little bit through your journey in regards to if you're open to it, about like getting married and having the kids and then going through the divorce. Talk to us a little bit about that.
So, when you get out of high school or when you're young, 18, 19, you think you know everything.
Right.
So a mutual friend introduced me to this guy, and I felt like he was okay, but my parents absolutely said, don't marry him. Don't do it. But I knew better than my parents, I thought I did.
We always do, right?
Yeah. So I did it anyway, and what my parents saw was what I was blind to. And because of me being blind to what they saw, it caused me to be in a marriage for 13 years that created abuse, mentally, emotionally, physically, and all of that. I mean, there were some years that it was nice. I have 2 beautiful daughters out of the marriage, but it was bad. And I finally had the courage to leave finally, because I left back and forth, and I'm sure people out there will understand that. But when I finally decided to leave, my life changed for the better, but also it got worse, because now I had to regain who was I, and I lost my identity because of that season in my life. And me and my daughters, we found somewhere to live, which was my brother, and then we moved in with my mom at the time.
Yeah.
And it just was bad. It was just bad. But let me tell you this. It was maybe 5 years ago. I knew who I was, because I told you I was a pastor's kid. So I understand what God says about me and who I am in him. But in a quiet time, I was praying and just seeking God. And he said to me, he said that you are a woman of more. And because of that, I was able to regain my identity, start declaring and decreeing over my life, and that's where Women of More was born.
And before we get to Women of More, because I'm very big on talking about the pain that we go through, especially as women, because we're like more of the emotional creatures here on Earth, right? You spoke about going through that pain, so acknowledging it, because there's so many of us that are in abusive relationships. And as you touched to it, abusive doesn't mean only physical. It could be mental, it could be financial, the man keeping all the money. There's just so many ways of having an abusive relationship, and like as you said, going in and out of it. Some people go in and out of therapy just as much as they go in and out of the relationship. So talk to us about having gone through that in regards to going to the other side, because there's a lot of women who are still stuck in that, I feel, and don't know how to get out of it, and you got out of it. So how did you get to the other side? You
know what happened this morning as I was thinking and getting ready for this conversation? I realized the first person that ever abused me was myself. And the reason why I say that is because I abused who I was, who I knew I was. I allowed me to lower down my standard to say this is right.
Okay.
And so many women out there, we do that. Yes, the manifestation may be another guy doing that to us, but it first starts with us. And that would have never, ever happened if I understood who I was.
That's right.
Because today, I wish somebody would try. I wish somebody would try to do that to me, because I have grown, and it was a process, and it is a process for all of us. What I had to do was get the words out of my mind, because I know there are some women that will understand this. A lot of people look at me funny when I say this, but it wasn't the physical that really stayed with me. It was the words,
Yes.
what he placed in me that caused me to not believe who I was.
Yes.
So the one thing that I would tell women, and how I got, first I had to be courageous enough to say, this is it. My life matters more. My children's lives matter more. I need to get out of this. But two, I had to regain my mindset in regard to who I was. And the one thing outside of God that saved my life, it was counseling. I had to go to counseling, and counseling saved my life.
And at what point was it during this journey, did you start thinking about advocating for young girls and women who might have gone through the same type of pain, or just in regards to empowering and lifting them? Like, take us back to that moment for you where you were able to transition into having it, instead of being on you, thinking about other people and now helping other people.
Well, one, I had to get through my whole season in my story. I had to clean up myself, and I had to be that advocate for me first. But I always knew at 9 that this was going to be my assignment, to speak to women. I just didn't know at 9 that I would go through that season to now speak to women around the world, and even women that are incarcerated. So it was just a matter of me saying, I remember, because I forgot in that dark season and all of that abuse. You forget what you already knew, because now this becomes your lens and your focus on that. So,
and that's wonderful that you share that with us, because once you've gone through the storm and you know how to survive in it, you'll never go back to that same storm. And so that's wonderful that you shared with us. Now, how did you birth Women of More? Tell us about what Women of More entails, what it is, and how did it become what it is?
And I'm so grateful to this, because I'm not that smart to come up with this name. I promise you, it was in one of my lowest moments. It wasn't dark, but I was just low.
Yes.
And I heard God said to me, he said, you are a woman of more. You're more than your story. You're more than your pain. You're more than what people say about you. You're more than all these titles that people, because when you get divorced, you become a divorced woman. And then if you have kids, you become a single mother. And it's just like on and on and on. And those titles make people go, she's a single mom. Why are you putting sadness on that?
Right.
So in that moment, I was affirmed that I was more than those things that happened to me. And once I found that out 5 years ago, it was like a light bulb.
Okay.
I straightened up my shoulders. I called one of my friends. I said, listen, I got to tell you what just happened. And she said, that's it. And from there, I said, if I needed that reminder, if that shifted my life, there are women out there that I know need the same message.
Yes.
So what I did, I started off with the social media campaign, and then I started doing events. Then I started doing conference calls just to gauge my audience. And here we are today, Women of More magazine. And there's other things that we're going to do in the future as well.
Yes. So talk to us about
Man.
the beginning of this, because
Woo.
I know you put a lot of time into it.
Yeah.
And did you have any background in magazine? Like, how did this start for you?
Actually, no, I didn't go to school for this or anything. But again, that's that thing within you that you know that you are meant to do.
Right.
So when I look back at old high school pictures, I was always into magazines.
Okay.
Always. But again, I didn't know then I would be here today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then so you begin to talk to these women, you begin to empower them, you begin to
Yeah.
have these conferences. You're right. Like, how do you go about, first of all, like picking the people that you highlight in your magazine to then picking the places where you go to speak?
So a couple of things. One, I may have a relationship with them. I've been following them. Two, it may be something that someone I pass over on social media. I'll say, oh my goodness, I need to go to try to talk to that person, or someone is recommending someone to me.
Okay. And talk to us a little bit about, in regards to, Michelle, how you took the initiative to take this further than the magazine. You shared with me that you just recently that you do speak in the prisons. Like, for someone of how can I say this? Haven't gone through abuse, an abusive relationship. It can be very intimidating to go into a platform that can expose that type of energy. And here you've grown through that, and you've taken the initiative to no longer allow that energy or that fear consume you in regards to anything bad happening to you again in the future. And you're taking women of more into these prisons. So talk to us about that transition, how you were able to do what it is that you're doing and go into these prisons and talk to these broken women who are where you were once.
And it's still fascinating. You know, I got into the prison because I was asked by someone to come tell my story to them about being married, about being abused and stuff. And I was doing that for many years, just going in, telling my story, saying hi, and I left. There was an opportunity for a facilitator. So I said, I would love to be a facilitator. And from there, I've been talking with women in the prison for the last 3 years, almost 4 years. And it's everything to me. It's more than a magazine. It's more than anything else I do. If you know me, you know that's my heartbeat, going into the prison and speaking to these women, because I see beyond their pain. I see beyond their struggles, where if it's in drugs or whatever, prostitution, I see them. And seeing them, I see me. And if I know I needed someone to advocate for me, they need someone to advocate for them. And the message is the same, whether you're a corporate woman, business woman, entrepreneur, whatever you are, incarcerated, you are a woman of more. And I'm so glad the message is not for just African Americans or people incarcerated. It's for women overall. So going into the women's prison,
you were
everything to me.
You weren't intimidated at all?
No, because I saw women.
That's what I like about your message, is that you strip us away from our titles.
Yes.
And that's very humbling, and at the same time it can kind of humiliate someone. It'll teach them, like, oh my gosh, like you're saying, I am more than all this I've been carrying, all this weight I've been carrying as a single mother, as someone who's been incarcerated. And you're saying, you know what? No, you still have purpose here.
Yes.
And although you might be serving time for a few years, when you get out, you still have purpose here. And that is the more you're speaking about.
Yep. And this is the thing that's challenging, and I always do this to them with a smile. I was like, all the prostitutes, raise your hands, and I'm smiling. Some women raise their hand. All the drug dealers, all the people that, and he looked at me like, why are you smiling? I said, that's what you did. That's not who you are.
Yes.
And sometimes the titles we place, those titles doesn't even give us a happy feeling, but yet we stand behind those titles. So I'm glad you said the word strip. I am stripping women of their titles to become the woman first that God created them to be.
And that's so big that you share that with us, because we live in such a dark world right now. And what I'm learning is that sometimes you have to be the light that other people don't ever see. And so just hearing you share with us about going into these prisons, you're bringing that beacon of light. And not only that, you're having these women who feel forgotten and unloved. You're showing them that you're loved and you're and you're here. And that's very needed.
That's it right there. Because majority, not all, but majority of the women that are incarcerated right now, they got on drugs or prostitutions because they were either molested, raped, some torture happened to them when they were a little girl. So from that point, they start using and doing other things to try to cover up or numb the trauma that they experience. So because I know that, I'm going harder for them.
Yes, and sometimes it's being shown the way.
Yeah.
You know, if you haven't gone through it, you don't know how to recover from it. And I often tell the story that, yes, you can go to school to be a social worker, and you can learn how to heal people. But it's different from someone who's been raped, someone who's been abused, who has gone through that and has come out the other side. Because now you can really touch these women and you can relate to them on a whole different level, very deep. So what is some of the feedback that you've been receiving when you go into the prisons, when you have these conferences and when you talk to this woman? What is it like after you're done doing what you have to do and they're coming to see Michelle to have their personal one-on-ones with you?
I think gratitude. They're very grateful to have someone to speak the truth or speak the reality of what it is, when I speak, I don't camouflage. I'm just all in, whether I'm in a prison or in a talk show, wherever. I'm the same person. So it's a lot of thank you. I wish I would have known that. Can I talk to you?
Right.
Especially the women in prison. What I do is give my certain information to the women when they get out. They connect with me and let me know they're doing well, and I try to gauge them to make sure they're doing well or see if they need any help. And because of that, and I haven't said this out in the public, but I'm gonna say it to you. The reason why I stay connected with them and give them my information is because, one, they need it. But what I'm going to do in 2020, I'm getting ready to do an aftercare program for women that are getting released, where they'll be able to come to me wherever. Hopefully someone's listening that has some type of real estate that want to offer it to me, to have meetings with them, to cater to them, and continue that whole process and being a woman of more on the outside. Right.
And you've taken this in other countries, overseas. What does that look like? Paint that picture for us who don't know anything about Women of More in these other states and throughout the country.
Well, I was able, because of the magazine, and that's the reason why I wanted to do the magazine, because I knew this message needed to go beyond social media and beyond Delaware. So I said, I need to do a magazine, or I was inspired to do a magazine. And because of that, I've been talking to a woman in Australia. She wants to become an ambassador or advocate for Women of More. So a woman in South Africa she came across, and we talked over the years and getting Women of More over there. And I'm just flowing in a lane. Whatever feels right, or what I'm supposed to do next, that's where I'm going.
And one thing I love about your story is that this is not where you once were always at. You used to work for Bank of America.
Yeah.
For many years. And and I feel like a lot of us go through this in life. We're here at our jobs, but we feel like we have a bigger purpose.
Yeah.
And sometimes a lot of people are conflicted with, like, what are we supposed to do while we're here, right? And you took the initiative to jump out on that. And you said, you know what, I've been doing great. I've been succeeding here at Bank of America. I've been creating these academies for young girls.
Yeah.
You're working with kids in schools. And you just broke away from that. How do you do that as an entrepreneur? And now you're on the other side, so successful in what you're doing. And you didn't see that. I know when you left, you believed in it, but...
Well, during that time, because I was downsized within Bank of America, and I already had that thrive and zest to do something different, because sometimes corporate could keep you corporate. It's like corporate.
In that box.
Yeah. So I knew I wanted to do more. I just was afraid. That's what I was afraid. I mean, I had to survive. I had to.
Yes.
Many people working in corporate is because some do like it, but there is another crowd that it's a job. I'm here because it's a job. And it was hard, but I said, I'll never go back. I said, no matter what, I'm going to stay focused. I have done some other things, like with the prison. I'm paid to do that because I work with an organization. I did some substituting at one point and some other things that I'm doing to survive. But in that surviving and crossing over, I just had to downgrade some things in order to succeed, because my passion was greater than my need for things, so my passion is the thing that brings the happiness and the fulfillment.
And I also like to say, your purpose is always greater than your position.
Yes.
That goes back to your titles.
Yes.
But before we leave, I'd like to give the floor to you. This is your opportunity to share with our viewers anything we might have left out, what's coming up for you, what's next, what's more for Women of More. Share with us.
Well, like I said, at the Pink Experience, and this is going to be the second time, because I didn't even put it out there to a lot of people. Next year, Women of More is going on tour. We're going to start here in Delaware. We're going to Atlanta. We're going to go to D.C., Philadelphia, and some other places around the world. And it's going to be called There's More to You Tour. And it's really to pretty much help women to discover their more and how to implement their more, whatever that is. It's not just about business women. It's whatever and however you want to do it. The other thing is that we're going to continue to bring great content in regards to Women of More magazine. We're going to do some social events here in Delaware and abroad, but we're going to continue to bring women like yourself, that's a woman of more, and women that's trying to discover their more together to provide harmony so we all can be women of more.
And in regards to that, Michelle, what advice could you share with that woman who is stuck right now and wants to be more, might have that energy inside of them that they feel like I can be more, but is very stuck? What could you share with them?
To be honest, don't be afraid. Be honest with yourself. And then most importantly, like you said, strip away the titles for a moment and master being a woman first. However that looks, however that sounds, do that. And there is more to you. You're more than your story. You're more than your hurt, your pain, and all of that. Just get in your rhythm. And I promise you, you'll be the woman you desire to be.
That's wonderful. And the most of all, too, is making sure you just own it all.
Absolutely.
The pain, own the hurt, the pain,
And
the
just
love,
don't stay
the good,
there.
the bad.
Let's move forward.
That's right.
Yep.
Always moving forward, put one foot in front of the other.
Yes.
But thank you so much for sharing your time with us today.
Pleasure.
And congratulations on everything you've been doing with Women of More.
Thank you.
It's very needed in our community. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
I've been your host, Yesenia Taveras. On behalf of all of us here at WITN 22, we'd like to say thank you so much for watching. Take care.